Right, hopefully this is a quick recording for you on ERPR task 2. I just wanted to show you this is for 60 marks. You need to give your theoretical approach, which is your theoretical framework. So you should have looked at other readings, other dissertations, and found a theory that fits your research. And it's for 10 marks, and describe it fully, use references, and also explain why it's applicable to your study. The literature review is for 20 marks. I'm going to go over that with you now as well. Conceptualization, these are just your key words, your little definitions, at least 5 definitions of words that you use in your research proposal, and we want everybody to know what those definitions are. So I'll have a look at that. That's for 10 marks. Research design, you're looking at the qualitative approach, describing that fully and why it's suitable for your proposal, and also have a look at INER, your first assignment, because you've already done this section. So it's copy and pasting and filling in, because it is for 10 marks. So don't just write 5 lines. Research paradigm is the interpretivist paradigm. You're going to explain it fully and why it's applicable for your research. Once again, 10 marks. So 10 marks, 20 marks, 10 marks, 10 marks, 10 marks, a total of 60 marks. It's due next Thursday, the 5th of October. So you need to get working on that. All right, what does it actually look like? So let's have a look at the document. Here is your research proposal document, the overview, the theoretical approach. So they want you to look at existing theories that you need to search for and you need to use in the context of your study. All right, so you need to describe it fully and why it's applicable for yours study. Remember, we said that the theory is needed for analysis. Deductive reasoning, because you're going to look at the categories or sections or the headings that are in this theory, and you're going to use it when you do your data analysis. You're going to go through and see if it links to the findings that you would find. You can't do that in your research proposal because you're not going to be doing the research, but you have to explain how it creates these sections that you can place your transcripts in. You're going to transcribe your interviews, which means that they get typed out. Then you code them, which means you highlight the things that people have said in the interview, and then you see whether the things that they've said fits into the sections of your theoretical framework. So that's why we need one. It's going to be applicable for data analysis and to create sections or headings or categories for your data analysis, for your coding to fit into. That's the deductive reasoning. The inductive reasoning, when we find new information that does not fit into the categories provided by the framework, then we are using inductive reasoning. Your literature review, they want a minimum of 15 resources. I just think that the 15 resources should be covered for all your sections. So when I look at the references, I'm going to check and see that there are 15 sources there, and there should be more than that because you are looking at many articles that are covering your topic. And even if you just find 1 paragraph or 3 sentences from a different source that just highlights the information that you're discussing, use those. All right. The literature review I have put on as an ICE task, not the entire review. You'll see there this section, this task is 2,000 to 3,000 words. That is about 10 pages if you use the correct format, right? If you're just writing, normally it will be 500 words per page, but the format that they give you, it's about 300 words per page. I'm going to go over the format with you as well. And so you're looking at about 10 pages for this task. That's the maximum, so 6 to 10 pages. And the ICE task I gave you was the literature review headings, which I'm going to show you now as well. Okay. Conceptualization, those are the key words, a minimum of 5 keywords that you are going to define, and you need to reference those definitions. The research design, you are definitely within the qualitative design, cross-sectional. No one's doing a longitudinal one. and you're going to collect the data, most of you through interviews. Some of you, maybe your interviews will be of learners, and then you have focus groups, because focus groups really help with getting information from learners. Some of you might also have to include observation, because you've said you're going to be studying this phenomenon, so you want to observe if it is in the class, and then interview the teachers afterwards or the learners afterwards. So that's why qualitative study fits in with that very nicely. Then they also want you to do the paradigm, which is interpretivist for all of you. You've got to describe that fully, right? So this is for 10 marks, your design and your paradigm, 10 marks each. So you can't just write 3 sentences. Okay? Use the INER assignment section there, copy and paste, but then you have to elaborate, write more, find more references that describe this paradigm. Okay, and then obviously why it's important for your research. All right, then you've got to have your reference list. Look at the layout. They want 1.5 line spacing. So if you go onto a Word and you're in Home and you go under Justification, you can justify it, and you can also do your line spacing. If you have trouble with that, you can ask the librarians, or you can ask me in class, and I'll show you how to do that. You do need to have a table of contents, and headings and subheadings are advised, and then your reference list should be on a new page. They don't want pictures or colors, but if you do make changes to any of your previous submissions, then please use blue font so that I can see what your changes are. There are no marks for this task, any changes that you've made to your title or your research questions, but if you make those changes as you go along, leave them in a different color, just so that we can make sure that they're there. Okay, go through, look at the words and sentences. If they are in blue or red or brown, go and click on them to find out how you can correct and edit your work so that it's professionally done. Okay, there's the word count, 2,000 to 3,000 words. It's a guide. Okay, some of you might go over, some of you might go under. That's fine as long as you've covered the topic. Right, so now I'm going to just share with you an example of someone who's done their dissertation, and we can have a look and see. Here we go. Okay, I hope you can see that. See the table of contents? Okay, we've already done our title and our background and questions and objectives. We've done all that. Here, this is what I want to show you, the literature review. There's the introduction. There's this is the history of knitting. So this research person is doing looking at knitting and the benefits of knitting. So the first starts with the heading of the history of knitting and the different I don't know, phases that it went through. Then the personal benefits of knitting, what knitting artifacts are, social benefits, the craft marketplace, and also has a theoretical framework. Okay, in the literature review, yours is separate. So you do your theoretical framework separately. You do it first. It's for 10 marks. Cover it completely. Explain what fully what your theoretical framework is and why it's applicable to your study. All right, and then you have to have a conclusion, right? So if you look at the literature review that this person did, you will see that they started with it. Here, I just want to show you quickly as well. They've labeled it definitions. We have labeled it as conceptualizations. You can see it's the words that you're using. So if you are using foundation phase or you're using intermediate phase, explain what that is, but it must be referenced. Okay, reference it. What are the words that are you need to understand? So you need to understand cable in this reading. What is it? And there's a reference. This is not a Harvard system, so they've used page numbers instead of colons. We need to use our colons, but identifying the different words that are used in the paper, and you need to understand the context of that word for you to understand the paper. So in most of you will be looking at your titles in foundation phase, intermediate phase, rural schools, urban schools, and whatever the phenomenon is, or if you're using the CAPS document, what is the CAPS document? If you're using the white paper, or you're using some reference, what is ADHD? What is HIV/AIDS? What is the definition that we use here in South Africa for those terminologies? Okay, so 5 key words with their definitions referenced, and that's the conceptualization. Okay, and yeah, that's about covers it. Right, so I'll just stop sharing there. If you have any questions, please remember your ICE tasks are all due this Friday, and really I'm looking at your thinking. So go and look at the 10 questions that you would ask. We spoke about it in class. We said those questions you would start by and asking the teachers how many years they'd been serving as teachers, and also which schools they'd been at before, their experience, and then you get into the questions for your research paper. So that was the one ICE task. The other ICE task, I wanted to see the theoretical framework that you're using. Bring your theoretical framework to class. Let's go over it in class. We can even use TRPR to have a look and fine-tune that. Bring your literature review to class so we can go over it. Come and work in class, ask questions, and check that you're on the right track. Okay, and I will go online on Saturday morning and record everyone's paper or what you've contributed to the ICE tasks to make sure that you get your 10% and make sure that you pass this module successfully. I'm going to end there now and bring your questions to class.